Welcome back to Marketing Monday. Yes, it is the third Monday of the month. I'm 99% sure about that. Yeah, it is. I just checked the calendar. So it's Marketing Monday, and I am super excited to be with you this Monday to talk about any number of things, but mostly to talk about planning. So, a couple of weeks ago, at the beginning of month, and excuse me if I sound stuffy, I have like all year allergies, and y'all know I talk about my allergies all the time. So in the morning, I am always sounding like this. But anyway, one of the things that we talked about in the 2 weeks ago was how to think about going into the year with some kind of like prioritization, goals, objectives, something, having some idea of what it is that you want to accomplish. And then I said that we were going to talk today about what to do to figure out what to do. So if you did the exercise last time, it was all about figuring out what your objective was. What's the big thing that you want to accomplish in the year? And then what you do from there is a very simple exercise to actually help you to figure out what maybe not the initial next steps are, but you can get there from here, but what the bigger picture steps are. So let's say that you're going to plan for the first quarter, because in our previous example, you know that you want to accomplish a certain percentage of revenue growth in the year. And you know that in order to get to that revenue growth every quarter, you need to accomplish this specific amount of revenue growth or this many number of sales or something along those lines. So that's what you're aiming at. So if you have, I'll say a 4%, 5%, because that's easy math, a 5% increase in sales that you are attempting to accomplish in January, or not January, Q1, then you want to look at how you're going to get there. So the exercise goes a little something like this. I have it written down, but fortunately, of course, I can't show it to you. I will get there technology wise. I have enough equipment to show it to you. I just don't know how, like what the hookup will look like. I'm going to get there. But you start out with the 5% increase in revenue in Q1. That's your objective. That's your goal. So the first thing you're going to ask is, how do I get there? And the how is like what products, what services. It's the big how. It's not the very little how. It's the big how. So let's say you have a coffee shop and you want a 5% increase, and you know that that's going to take, you can do a little bit of research, and I kind of encourage you to do a little bit of research last time. So if you know that, getting a 5% increase means that you're going to need to bring in 10 more customers per week. So 10 more customers per week would get you, likely, because your average value for your customer is X, and X number more customers will get you to that 10% or that 5%. So 10 more customers per week will get you to that 5%. So then you ask, how there? So the first question was how to get to 10%. And you figure out that the answer to the how to get to, 5%, how to get to 5%, the answer to how to get 5% is to get to 10 more customers per week. Okay, then you ask how again. So you say, how do I get 10 more customers per week? And then you might say, marketing. I can do some type of marketing, and that will help me get to 10 additional customers per week. I know that if we've done this thing and that thing in the past, and whenever we've done that thing, we've seen an uptick, maybe not 10 people, but we've seen an increase in the traffic that we have based on these activities. So you say, I'm going to do something along those lines. And then your next question is, how are you going to do that? So instead of just stopping at, I am going to do a Facebook campaign that includes 2 ads that are saying these words, you're going to say, okay, fine, but how do you do that? If that's what you think is going to work, then how do you do that? Now, as a small business owner myself, and as someone who has had challenges with achieving goals that I've set, this is where we usually stop, and this is why the goals don't get accomplished. The things that you want to happen don't get accomplished because likely you just say, oh, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do, if I want to get this much more traffic, I'm going to do some blog posts and some Facebook posts about it and, that. So you don't ever really get to planning that. You just figure out that that's what'll get you there, but you don't figure out how to do that thing so that it gets you what your outcome is. So you ask that how, like, how am I going to write Facebook posts that are going to get me 10 new customers per week? How am I going to write a blog post? How am I going to get that kind of attention from an email that I send out? How? Right? So then from there, you think, okay, well, what I have to do, because this is the reason why it's more complicated and kind of fun to do this, is that you have to think, okay, what has worked in the past? Not big what, but specifically, what language, what kind of call to action, what kind of imagery has gotten the most engagement from my audiences in the past? How long did I need to post about a thing before I got the action that I wanted on the other side of it? What did that specifically look like? So if it is that people really love it when it's a picture of you and you're holding coffee and you're sitting back and you're drinking in your own cafe and maybe holding a book. If that's the thing that gets people in, then you think, okay, now how do I get that? Like, do I have those images already? Do I need to have someone come in and take a picture of me, a spouse, a kid, a photographer, whatever? Do I need to do that? How are you actually going to get the images or the content that someone is going to use to come and find you? And then from there, how are you going to deliver that content? So this is what makes a vision or a goal turn into a plan. You back all the way into the hows, all the way down to the beginning, like all the way down to today. So how, till you get to the point where the action is, or the question is, how am I going to start this right now? Like, what can I do today to get to a photographer that is going to take a picture, who's going to do the thing? How do I do that right now? Once you write those steps out, this is not a thought exercise. This is a physical thing. Sit down, write it out. Once you sit down and write those things out, now you have a plan. So for a lot of us, planning seems very daunting. I'm not a process oriented person. I am an action oriented person. I am a all big sky. I want to just run and do the thing right now. I don't care how it's going to happen. I'll make it happen. Everything always works out in the end. That is my personality. But what I've recognized over the years is that when I have had the most success with actually achieving my goals in my personal life, in my business life, I've done this exercise in some way, shape, or form. I have come to the point where I sat down and said, okay, I have the initial thing that I know I want, my big goal, my big outcome that I want. And I need to figure out what it looks like to do that. So how do I do that? And then how do I do the thing that I just said? And then how do I do that thing that I just said? And how do I do that thing that I just said? And along the way, you will have steps that you have now written out for yourself. Once you have written those steps out, you need to go back and attach dates to them. So you say, okay, the first thing, like I said, what am I going to do today? So you will start out and say, on today, December 20th, this is the activity that I'm going to do. And then on the 28th, which is next Monday, this is the activity that I'm going to do. If for some reason you're not working through the rest of the year, which is perfectly reasonable, more power to you, then start this on what is the first Monday of the month? Start this on the 3rd. So what am I going to do on January 3rd? So getting yourself in position where you actually have dates attached to your how, and be as specific as you can with your how, so that when it comes time to do the thing, you're not still asking how. And if you are, that's fine, but still ask the question. So if you get to the point where you're like, oh, well, I do need to write really great captions and I don't know how, then you need to be asking, okay, well, how do I get great captions if I don't know how to write them? Where can I get a resource for someone who can do it? There's Fiverr for people who can write captions for you relatively quickly. There's all sorts of things that you can do. All you have to do is figure out what the thing is that needs to be done. It's not a matter of you doing physically everything. This is not a matter of everything itself being accomplished. What this more is the idea that it is time out for us in general to set a big goal for ourselves and to say, okay, in 2022, I want it to be my business's best year ever. It's time out for saying that and then not doing anything, not figuring out what it is that needs to be done in order to make that thing happen. That's where we get stuck. That's where a lot of us get stuck. And so I just got done with the 10,000 small businesses cohort 25 here in Northeast Ohio. And man, it was a beautiful thing, beautiful ceremony, beautiful experience. They were a great cohort. And I am like, this is great. Now they have figured out opportunities that they're going to be going after. And at the end, I wanted to ask each and every one of them to do the how ladder. Like every single one of them, I was like, I want to be like, so how are you going to do it? Not just like in theory, but like in execution. What are the how steps? And some of them were already in their processes. So they're like good to go. They've done a lot of process exercises and they're ready to roll. But some of them I could still hear that the thing that they want to accomplish still feels like a dream to them. It doesn't feel real. And so if you are the kind of person who feels like you're like a dreamer and you have these big grand ideas and you're never really sure what that outcome is going to look like, sit back and do this exercise. And if you're the kind of person who's at the beginning and maybe have never had to create a process to get to a goal, even if you are a goal-oriented, process-oriented person, I challenge you to do this how exercise as well, because this how exercise helps you figure out literally a step-by-step process for yourself. And with each of the hows, there's even more layers of hows that you can ask. So not just why, but how. Why is the first thing. What the big why is the number one thing that we need to be aiming at. Why are we doing any of this in the first place? What are we trying to accomplish? And then from there, how. Because all of those hows get you a step-by-step process to actually get something accomplished. Okay. I know it sounds simple. I'm concerned that you're going to think, but Lindsay, that's so simple. How come, like everyone doesn't do that? Or it seems too simple for it to actually work. It works. It gets you down to your tactics that are going to actually get you to success. But it only works if you actually do it. So I challenge you over the next few weeks, again, to sit down and think through what it is that you want to accomplish in 2022. What does it look like by quarter? And then figure out, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do the big thing? And then how am I going to do the next thing? And then how am I going to do the thing after that? Like, what does it look like? But remember, you're coming towards you. So you're saying, big thing out there. How do I get that done? Okay, well then how do I get that done? How do I get that done? How do I get that done? So you're coming closer and closer to today by asking the how question on the thing that you are trying to accomplish next. Okay. Hey, Alex, it is beautiful to see all of you this morning. Thank you all for watching. Again, please don't discount this exercise because it's easy. It's not. And so once you start doing it, you'll realize, oh, I don't know how. Okay. And that's where the work starts. As soon as you hit a wall and you're like, oh, I don't know how, that means that you have an opportunity. That's not oh, well, I don't know how, so I can't do it. That's not what we're doing. It's an I don't know how, so I'm going to figure it out. And often if we have a big goal, a lot of times we don't know how we're going to do a thing. And then instead of pushing past and actually figuring it out, we say, oh, we'll just move on to the next thing and figure out that thing because it's much easier to figure out. And I'm talking about myself because it's exactly what I do. I went into a wall over here, and I will just squirrel my way over to a field in another direction so that I don't have to worry about that wall. But the thing is, the wall's not going anywhere. If you have a goal or a dream or something that you're trying to accomplish, you're eventually going to have to climb that wall. And so you might as well figure out how you're going to do it, what tools you need, what are the steps you're going to take. Because if you don't figure it out now, you're going to be sitting here doing this exact same thing in 2023. We all know because it's already 2022, and I bet you have unresolved desires. You have unresolved goals, objectives, things that you wanted in 2019, that between the pandemic and the fact that it has been one very long day since like April 30th of 2020, it's just been one big long day. It all of that interferes with us getting to where we want to go, and often we'll just again hit a wall and be like, well, I got plenty of other things to do. I do not need to try to figure out what to do about this wall right now because I got a list, an arm's length long, of things that I can actually accomplish and things that I can do, things that will make you feel good in the moment, but they won't get you over that wall. So I want you to start thinking about that now so that you can experience the kind of like exponential growth that I know is possible. I know it's possible because I've seen it in people, I've seen people do it, but the only way to get it is to face the wall and to ask how. Okay. That's it for today. I am again, if you're here today at live, like I'm shooting this live, it is a beautiful day here in Northeast Ohio. So if you are watching this live, make sure you get outside, out into the outdoors, get some vitamin D, get some fresh air, maybe do this exercise like I am going to do today at the lake in my car because it's too cold for that at the lake outside of my car nonsense, but at the lake, sitting back with a nice warm beverage and some ambient music and figure it out. Like, what are your hows? What are the how steps that are going to get you to where you want to go? That is it for the day. That is it for the week. That is it for the year because this is the final Marketing Monday of 2021, and I will see you all next year. Okay. Have a good day. Have a good week. Have a good rest of your year. Have a happy holiday, and I will see you all later. Bye.